You want to know what really awaits her after she walks away from you? Not the fantasy she's built in her head, the reality. Because when a woman decides she's done, she thinks she's walking toward freedom, toward a better version of herself, toward a man who will finally appreciate her. But in truth, she's walking straight into a storm that no one warned her about. First, she feels powerful, liberated. She posts a few cryptic quotes about new beginnings and self-love. Her friends shower her with applause. You're so brave. You deserve happiness. You're finally putting yourself first. She believes every word, because right now, illusion feels safer than reality. The validation hits like champagne. Fizzy, intoxicating, but fleeting. She's high on her own decision, thinking she just leveled up in life. Meanwhile, you, the man she left, are quiet. You don't beg, you don't chase, you don't post anything. You let the silence do the talking. And that silence terrifies her more than she'll ever admit. Because the truth is, she expected you to crumble, to fall apart, to prove that she mattered. But you don't. You rebuild. You go to the gym, start working harder, sleeping better, reconnecting with yourself. At first, she tells herself it's temporary, that you're pretending. But deep down, she feels the shift. She can sense that you're no longer orbiting her gravity. And that's when the panic starts to whisper. Because you see, when a woman leaves a good man, she doesn't just lose him. She loses her anchor. For years, you were her stability, her mirror, her proof that she mattered to someone beyond herself. And now, she's standing in front of that same mirror, asking it for validation it can't give. The reflection is older, more tired, less certain. But she forces a smile, takes a photo, filters it, posts it online, and waits for hearts to replace the warmth she used to feel when you looked at her. At night, when the phone stops buzzing, that's when the truth starts whispering. She tells herself you were boring, predictable, emotionally unavailable. But her mind, that cruel, honest part of her brain, starts replaying moments she'd rather forget. The way you looked at her when she laughed. The sound of your voice in the morning. The quiet safety of knowing someone had her back no matter what. Those memories don't fade. They metastasize. They turn into ghosts that follow her everywhere she goes. You, on the other hand, are doing something she didn't expect. Thriving. You stop trying to fix things that don't want to be fixed. You channel that pain into purpose. You become sharper, calmer, more grounded. You rediscover the man you were before you tried to make her happy at the cost of your own peace. And when she sees that, when she scrolls through your photos and realizes that you look stronger, lighter, freer, that's when the cracks begin to form in her new, perfect life. Because no matter how much she pretends, she can't escape the truth that you were real. The men she meets now, they don't care about her stories, her fears, her soul. They care about one thing, novelty. They see her as an experience, not an investment. And she feels that difference instantly, though she'll never say it out loud. She'll go on those dates, smile, laugh, maybe even convince herself she's happy. But every conversation feels thinner. Every compliment feels recycled. Every moment feels performative. And when the night ends, and she's alone again in her bed, no heartbeat beside her, no steady warmth, she'll finally understand. She didn't leave a man who failed her. She left a man who loved her through her flaws, through her moods, through her storms. She traded substance for noise, love for attention, depth for dopamine. And attention, as she's about to find out, fades faster than affection ever did. This is just the beginning. Because what awaits her after she walks away isn't happiness. It's reflection. And reflection, when there's no one left to blame, is the harshest mirror of all. The second act always looks glamorous from the outside. She's glowing, dressing differently, laughing louder, posting pictures with captions like, "New chapter," "Learning to love myself," and "Everything happens for a reason." You'll see mutual friends comment, "So happy for you," and "You look amazing." But what they don't see are the quiet hours between those posts. The hours where her phone stops lighting up and her apartment feels like an echo chamber. See, this is the phase where the illusion starts to bleed. For a while, she'll convince herself she's happier. She'll go on dates with men who flatter her endlessly, men who tell her what she's been starving to hear. You're stunning. You're different. I can't believe he let you go. And in those moments, she feels a temporary high. A flicker of what she used to feel when she was young, desired, powerful. But the high always wears off. Because there's a difference between being admired and being loved, and she can feel it. These new men admire her body, not her soul. They like her story, not her silence. They see her as a phase, not a future. Meanwhile, your silence keeps haunting her. You don't text. You don't check her stories. You've vanished, and that absence, that vacuum where your attention used to be, becomes deafening. It's not that she wants you back. It's that she wants to know she still could have you if she wanted. But she can't. And that's what twists the knife. You see, she expected you to be broken. She thought leaving you would give her power, that you'd chase, beg, crumble, that your pain would prove her worth. But instead, you did the one thing she never prepared for. You became better. You turned your heartbreak into discipline. You went silent, not out of weakness, but out of mastery. You gave her nothing to feed on, no reaction to hold on to. And that silence has become her tormentor. The nights get longer. The noise in her head gets louder. She starts comparing every man she meets to you. Not the version she left, but the version she remembers. The man who listened, who stayed, who showed up when no one else did. She starts realizing that you weren't boring, you were consistent. You weren't distant, you were loyal. You weren't unromantic, you were safe. But now, safety feels like a luxury she can't afford anymore. Because the men she's meeting don't build anything. They consume. They swipe, they flirt, they vanish. She's become part of an economy she doesn't understand. A market where youth and chaos are currency, and she's running out of both. Her friends start fading too. The ones who told her to live her truth are now busy with their own lives. Their own husbands, their own stability. The girls' nights become less frequent. The texts slow down. And for the first time, she realizes that all those voices that pushed her to find herself were just echoes of other lost souls trying to justify their own mistakes. Then it happens, that first moment of involuntary nostalgia. She sees a couple in a grocery store laughing over something small. She hears a song you both loved. She smells a cologne that reminds her of you. And suddenly, her chest tightens. For a split second, she's back there, at home, with you, before the chaos, before the noise, before she traded peace for possibilities. But she can't go back. Pride won't let her. Her ego would rather die than admit she made a mistake. So she'll double down. She'll tell herself you were toxic, controlling, emotionally unavailable. She'll rewrite the story to survive the guilt. Because if she ever told the truth, that she left a good man out of restlessness, the shame would swallow her whole. Meanwhile, you keep rising. Not for revenge, but for peace. You stop explaining yourself to people who never wanted to understand you. You stop looking back. You build a new life, brick by brick, out of discipline, purpose, and clarity. And without even realizing it, you've become something far more powerful than the man she left. You've become the man she'll never find again. And that's when the second phase ends, when she stops looking for happiness and starts running from regret. By the third stage, the performance begins to crack, not in public but in private. The smile she perfected for Instagram starts to feel heavy, mechanical. The mirror no longer flatters her. It interrogates her. The same mirror that once reflected freedom now shows fatigue. Her eyes, the ones that once looked bright with defiance, start to carry something else. Confusion, regret, maybe even fear. Because deep down, she's starting to realize what she traded. Not a man, but meaning. First, she distracts herself. New hobbies, new outfits, new men. But everything she tries has the same aftertaste, emptiness. The rush of a new date lasts about as long as the candle on the restaurant table. The compliments sound the same, rehearsed, transactional. She laughs at the jokes, but she's not laughing. She's remembering how it used to feel when laughter came naturally, when you made her feel safe enough to be silly. She goes home alone again. The apartment feels too quiet. The silence used to mean independence. Now it just means no one cares whether she made it home safe. She lies in bed, scrolling through her phone, through photos of her new life, through conversations that died after 3 messages, through the faces of men who see her as a profile, not a person. And without realizing it, she starts scrolling back, way back, to the old pictures. You and her. Trips, dinners, inside jokes. Photos where she looked genuinely happy, not posed. And it hits her like a gut punch. That wasn't a prison. That was home. But by now, she can't tell anyone. Her friends have moved on, tired of her stories, tired of her confusion. The same people who told her to follow her heart are now distant. They don't want to be reminded of what happens when that heart leads off a cliff. So she bottles it up, pretends everything's fine, keeps smiling for photos, because admitting regret would destroy the image she worked so hard to build. Meanwhile, you've stepped fully into your peace. You're not chasing, you're not watching, you're not even thinking of her much anymore. You've grown into solitude like its armor. Your mornings are quiet, steady. You sleep well, work hard, eat clean, maybe even meet someone new. Someone soft, calm, grateful. Not a whirlwind, but a breath of air. Someone who doesn't need to find herself, because she already knows who she is. And that's when the real torment begins for her, when she realizes you're no longer haunted. She used to live rent-free in your thoughts. Now she's a ghost in her own mind. You don't post about pain. You don't seek attention. You're just living. That's what kills her. Not your anger, not your sadness, but your indifference. Because indifference is the final death of attachment. She starts trying to recreate what you gave her, but it never feels the same. No one looks at her with that kind of familiarity. No one knows her rhythms, her moods, her small quirks the way you did. The world has moved on from her softness. It demands performance, filters, perfection. You were the last man who loved her without an audience watching. And now, surrounded by attention, she's starving for affection. So she fills her nights with noise, dating apps, drinks, scrolling, distractions. But the dopamine rush keeps fading faster. Her self-worth, once tied to being desired, starts to decay, because now the attention feels cheap. It doesn't heal. It just numbs. And as numbness spreads, so does the truth she's been running from. She didn't outgrow you. She outgrew gratitude. By this point, the story she tells herself, he was controlling. I needed space. I deserve better. Starts to collapse under its own weight. Because if you were the problem, why does she miss you? If leaving was healing, why does she still hurt? If she found herself, why does she feel more lost than ever? The answers sit in silence. And that silence is starting to eat her alive. She scrolls through your new life, sees the calm in your eyes, the way you carry yourself, grounded, focused, untouchable. She sees you becoming everything she said she wanted. And for the first time, she realizes you didn't change for her. You changed because of her. And that truth, that her loss built your strength, becomes the kind of pain no quote about self-love can fix. That's the third stage, when she starts envying the peace she tried to destroy. Here's what she never saw coming. The ending isn't explosive. It's quiet, slow, almost poetic in its cruelty. One morning she wakes up, looks around her spotless apartment, her half-empty coffee cup, her reflection in the dark TV screen, and it hits her. She got everything she asked for. Freedom, independence, the chance to start over. And yet, somehow, she's never felt more trapped. Because now there's no one left to blame. The silence that used to mean peace now feels like punishment. The mornings that once promised excitement now stretch out like an empty road with no destination. The very solitude she romanticized has turned into her own invisible cage. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the pride and the denial, she starts whispering a truth she swore she'd never say. He was the one who actually loved me. You, meanwhile, are no longer waiting for closure. You've already found it, in the weight you lifted off your shoulders, in the calm you built brick by brick. You've stopped needing her apology. You've stopped checking her pages. You've stopped replaying the story. Because your chapter ended cleanly and hers never did. You've become a man of stillness, direction, purpose. And in a world of chaos and noise, that stillness is power. But for her, the reckoning never truly ends. It just changes shape. She starts noticing your absence in strange ways, the way no one checks if she got home safe, the way no one remembers her coffee order, the way no one holds her when she's quiet instead of asking what's wrong. Every new man feels like a stranger trying to wear your shadow. Every "good morning" text feels hollow compared to the simple comfort of your silence beside her. She thought she could replace you, but what she didn't understand is this: you weren't just a man. You were a mirror. Through you, she saw who she was when she was loved, when she was seen, when she was whole. Now she looks into other faces and finds only fragments of herself. Because no one can reflect back a version of her that doesn't exist anymore. The truth? You were her stability, her compass, her calm, and she mistook that for boredom. She thought chaos meant passion, attention meant love, and independence meant happiness. Now she knows the difference, but only in hindsight, only when it's too late to go back. Time passes, the attention fades, the friends drift away, the mirror grows less kind. And every night before she sleeps, she replays it. The day she walked out, the conversation she thought made her powerful. But what she feels now isn't pride. It's grief. Grief for a life she burned down in the name of freedom. Grief for a man who would have stood by her even through her storms. And here's the irony: you never wanted revenge. You just wanted peace. But life has a way of balancing things. While she's still searching for herself in empty reflections, you've already found yourself in silence, purpose, and strength. You've learned what she never did, that love isn't about excitement. It's about peace. So what awaits her after she walks away from you? Not the paradise she imagined. Not the freedom she bragged about. Just the echo of her own choices, and the silence of a man who finally learned how to let her go.